Like most Americans, I was surprised by Tuesday night's election results. Now, to be fair, I wasn't particularly upset by them. After all, I had voted for Gary Johnson, and I live in Utah, so I didn't feel too invested in the outcome. Even so, I was amazed at just how wrong the polls proved to be. I mean, going in, some of them were giving Hillary a 90% chance to win. And yet, here on my TV screen, it appeared to be a complete upset. Not only was Trump going to win, but it looked increasingly like he was going to win big in the all-important Electoral College. Some key states that should have been wins for Clinton were being turned from blue to red. The pundits and the pollsters were pretty much flipping out over it.
You're awake, by the way. You're not having a terrible, terrible dream.
It was quite a show. Anyway, after it was all over, I became fascinated by the question of what happened. Many theories immediately sprang up. Some said that Trump's election was a referendum on political correctness. Some said it was due to the overlooked poor white middle and working class. Others said that the true nature of America as a xenophobic, misogynist, racist country was rearing its ugly head. Some said that the silent majority was finally expressing their overwhelming distaste for the entrenched political establishment. Now, these theories are all pretty interesting, and for a while I totally bought into them. We were seeing some kind of an incredible revolution or backlash or something like that, and my goodness, that's exciting. But then I saw an article where a Trump supporter was crowing about how the election had been such a victory for his side that Trump would have even beat Obama. Now that just didn't seem right to me, so I decided to fact check the numbers. And in so doing, I discovered something. Something that I think is likely to make both sides, Trump and Clinton, a little uncomfortable because it disrupts both of their desired narratives. And that something is really quite mundane. The numbers show that Trump didn't win so much as Hillary lost. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look. Here we see the popular vote counts for the last 3 elections. There are 2 things which are very interesting here. First, look at how Trump actually got fewer total popular votes than did either McCain or Romney. Now, some votes are still coming in, but even so, you can see that the total popular votes cast for him are very much in line with what we have seen in the previous 2 elections. So, sorry Trump supporters, based on the popular vote numbers, your guy really didn't do any better than did either of the last 2 Republican candidates. No groundswell of support, no big silent majority suddenly showing up unexpectedly. On the other hand, look at the difference between Obama's turnout versus that of Clinton. Here you see a precipitous drop. We're talking 6 million down from 2012 and 10 million down from 2008. I mean, that's huge. Already, it's looking like we've got a probable new explanation. Maybe Hillary Clinton lost simply because she couldn't get out the vote. And note, if this is true, it would explain why the polls would be so off. A small, but critically significant, number of people who said in the polls that they were going to get out and vote for Hillary simply didn't show up when it was time to be counted. Maybe Clinton's support was there, it was just rather soft. And it wouldn't take much in a close battleground state to throw things off. If, say, only 1 out of every 25 voters who told pollsters that they were going to vote for Clinton, but then actually didn't feel inspired enough to get out and vote, if that happened, that would be a small 4% swing. And it would be more than enough to flip some states from blue to red. But what we're looking at in the popular vote number is over 2.5 times that. A full 10% fewer voters came out to vote for Clinton than did for Obama. Again, this is a huge difference. Okay, but we all know that the election isn't determined by the popular vote. It's the Electoral College that matters. To do justice to this question, I took the numbers from 2012 and the latest ones from 2016 for each of the 11 battleground states and dropped them into an Excel spreadsheet. And so, what of this notion that Trump's numbers were so good that he would have defeated Obama? Well, it may not be a fair apples to apples comparison, but we can look at the raw vote data and see that this idea is totally bogus. Trump's numbers were good enough in some of the states he won, but overall, and just looking at the raw votes cast, Obama still would have won. Obama's turnout was just that good. So maybe a better way to look at it is to compare percentages. That is, rather than just counting votes, how much of a fraction of the electorate in each of those states went where? We already know that Clinton lost. But were the percentages by which Trump won good enough that he could have theoretically taken on Obama? Again, the answer is no. Obama's victory margins in the 2012 election were good enough that he still would have edged out Trump even when adjusting the raw vote data to account for a lower voter turnout. Okay, so yet another way to look at this is to compare Clinton's percentages against Obama's. And here again, Obama shows his strength. In terms of percentages, he outperformed Clinton in 10 of the 11 battleground states. Okay, so we can play this game of Monday morning quarterbacking all day long. There are lots of different ways to look at the data, but in the end, it all boils down to the same thing. When Obama was running, millions more Democrats showed up at the polls to vote than did when it was Clinton. On the other hand, Trump really didn't get any more voters than did either of his previous predecessors in Romney and McCain. So this is what I mean when I say that Trump didn't win so much as Hillary lost. I think it's something to keep in mind when you see those protesters in the streets. Those poor Democrats lost not because Trump drew out some secret white nationalist vote. No, they lost because too many of them promised the pollsters that they were going to vote for Clinton, and then they didn't. So the numbers show that they've got no one to blame but themselves. Their voter apathy is what got Trump elected. I double dog dare you to say that to their faces. It might make for a fun exchange. So one final note here. In my research, I discovered that one guy called this election exactly how it played out way back in August of 2015. And that guy was Bernie Sanders. Here's what he said.
Democrats will not retain the White House, will not regain the Senate or the U.S. House, will not be successful in dozens of governors' races all across this country unless we generate excitement and momentum and produce a huge voter turnout. We need a movement which takes on the economic and political establishment, not one which is part of that establishment.
Yep, you called it, Bernie. Dead on correct. And it does kind of make you wonder if there hadn't been all of those backroom shenanigans with the Democratic National Convention and all that, if maybe we might be talking about President Sanders today instead of President Trump. I guess we'll never know.